to be respectful of everybody's time, we're gonna adjourn in about 15 minutes. So in the meantime, we're gonna be taking a few more questions. So Maria, please take it on.
Scott Kerns, you had some questions. Okay.
So yes, hi. I am a small business owner. We have a small jewelry company, my wife and and I have a question that kind of relates to what the previous Scott was talking about. We were a retail first company. We had a space in Grand Central Terminal, another one down at Industry City. Mm-hmm. Neither one of those do we expect to have a significant amount of retail traffic for the foreseeable future. And we received a PPP loan, but we're having a serious issue recalling enough people and being able to fill these roles. I don't know if you can see the wallpaper behind me, but right now we are actually living in my parents' house. This is my bedroom when I was a child. So, you know, we're pretty far from our Grand Central haunt. But in the meantime, we are running the business ourselves. And with this PPP money, where we have a cognitive difference is that we're doing all the work that all of these people used to do for us. We're trying to turn our company in a new direction that will still allow us to function. But in terms of the PPP, in order for us to get forgiveness, we have to recall people who, first of all, don't want to come back to places that aren't open. And because of our corporate structure, we are not allowed to put ourselves on payroll. So we are sitting here, we can't really get much unemployment as business owners. We're doing all the work that everybody used to do. We can't pay ourselves and we can't find people to actually work for us. Ideally, you know, we would like to get people to help us out, work at some place in New York, and also pay ourselves some small amount. Pardon me, my kids are in the background because we
all been there. No worries, Scott.
And yeah. But you know, we'd like to be able to pay ourselves for the work that we actually are doing and employ some people who would be able to actually help us with where our business is and use 25% of that money to pay off some of these big outstanding rent payments that we have, for which we can't even use the spaces right now. So I'm just wondering if there's any, I know that there's some conversation around extending the forgiveness period, but really what we need is a reimagining of who's doing the work and who can be paid for the work. Because our business as it was is not the business that is now or is going to be.
I was going to say, yeah, I hear you on the fiction of, you know, employees coming back to work through PPP. It's just, it's a message I have heard from multiple small businesses. I spoke to a very famous restaurant on the Upper West Side today. Alice's Teacup has the exact same problem. She can't pay herself. She can't bring employees back. She's got the loan, but can't use it. You know, so I know that Congressman Nadler and Congresswoman Carol Maloney have heard this concern too. I'm hopeful that the new federal bill builds some flexibility, allow you to use some of that on expenses. That's why, you know, I've been trying to look at alternatives in terms of like using, you know, sales tax receipts for those types of expenses, maybe in advance. But I think Governor Cuomo's approach is correct, which is wait to see what comes out of the federal pipeline, and then New York needs to act. And that's when New York needs to figure out, you know, our own revenue sources. God forbid if we don't get what Jerry Nadler's fighting for us in Washington. Yeah, that's not a lot of comfort at this stage, but you know, the feds are the only game in town that can print money. And so until we find out what they're willing to print for us, we're kind of left on the hook. But hopefully with the congressman and that bill coming to the floor tonight or tomorrow, we'll be able to get some clarity on the direction New York needs to go to help you out during this crazy interim phase. As it pertains to Grand Central, you may have spoken to Chris Taylor about your concerns. Deborah led an effort there. I think Chris thinks, and I think Deborah and I both agree that we need to do more work in terms of your lease arrangement with the MTA. but let us know. I represent Grand Central too. And we've been having discussions about various leaseholders in Grand Central. You don't, it was crazy that you were having to show up to work when there weren't any customers and pay your rent. But we'll have to revisit that, when things are back up and running, if they're going to try to, if they're going to try to collect all of that past rent or not, because that's going to be also an inordinate amount of weight to bear. Government should be setting the standard, and the MTA should be setting the standard on that. So again, I think a lot of this hinges on what we get from the feds, and that's going to set our pathway forward. But we hear you on PPP loud and clear.
Here's another constituent, Wilfred Baptiste. I'm gonna unmute him now. Okay, Wilfred?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question that I had was partially preempted by Congressman Nadler's the bill, because if they actually get rid of the 75-25 provision, then a lot of the issues that were raised by my question go away. But what I was going to ask was, I work with a handful of companies here in New York that were fortunate enough to get both the PPP and the employee retention grant, and they were unsure as to how to take advantage of the grant without jeopardizing the forgiveness of the PPP. So it was a little bit of, how the interplay between those two programs work. And I've asked around and I was told that, the employee retention grant is a CD program.
Wilfred, you're breaking up.
Program, and blah, blah, blah. So I've never really been able to get a clear answer on that.
Hello, okay.
But if the 75-25 provision goes away, a lot of that is okay, hold on.
Okay. I don't know if any of the elected officials were able to catch that, but some of the questions that was handed in ahead of time is the relationship between the loans and the PPP and the employee retention grant. If either one of you have any information on that, if not, I can make sure to pass it on to the congressman's office. Do you know how that plays out if a business did receive the employment retention grant? Can they also have funds from the PPP?
Is Congressman Nadler's team on the call?
If anyone, that's their level, right? If anyone from the congressman's office is on the call, just send me a message on chat. If not, I can guarantee that I will be following up with the office to ask these questions.
Yeah, and that's important feedback to have as the House moves their bill to the floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 5 more minutes before we adjourn, just to make sure we are mindful and respectful of everybody's time. Maria, you have more questions?
No, I think I have all the questions that asked already.
Okay. Assemblywoman, Senator, any closing remarks? Let's start with you, Senator, this time before we adjourn.
Just, we're all in this together. Be in touch with our offices. Obviously, there's a lot of questions, a lot of feedback on the current federal programs. That's going to dictate what we can do at the state level. We're all reeling with these deficits that the speaker spoke about, that Deborah spoke about. And we're going to fight though. We got to fight for every resource for our community. The small businesses in our neighborhood make our neighborhood what it is. And so we have to make sure that we come back strong, but we know it's going to be very different, as Scott alluded to, and we're going to have to come to terms with that reality. But we're going to have to also give you some flexibility as business owners. and some breathing space to get your feet on the ground and to start making a profit. You're not charitable institutions, although you do a lot of great work in making our community so strong. So thank you so much, and pleasure to be here. And thanks to my colleagues.
Assemblywoman, any closing remarks? The microphone. There we go.
I just want to say that this has been such an enormously complicated problem, shutting down abruptly, whether it's teachers and students learning and their parents. I mean, we've heard from parents who keep saying, I didn't learn that kind of math. I can't even help my kid. I don't know what to do. So this has been across the board an enormous challenge, and finding ways to reopen businesses in a safe way where employees feel safe coming to work. That part is our job. And the entire country can't come back without California and New York. That's just the way it is. And New York State can't come back without downstate, just the way it is. So we're going to have to work doubly hard, if we can even imagine that at this point, in order to provide the support that make it possible for businesses to reopen. And we want to be available, 212-674-5153. Give us a call. We're not there, but we check the machine every hour. So give us a call and we'll try to figure out what we can do to be helpful. I do think working on a tweak, if there will be negotiations once the bill is passed by the House, there may be an opportunity to tweak some of those provisions that have to do with whether owner-operators can pay themselves some of that PPP money. So, I'm an optimist, so maybe we can figure out a little bit of a tweak in the negotiations. Thank you, Maria, Andres, Bill. This was great. Brad, it's wonderful to see you always. Hugs and kisses. And look forward to being able to see everybody in person in the not too distant future. Stay safe.
Assemblywoman, that optimism is always needed in the good and especially in the difficult times. So we praise for those words and for the work you do, for the work that the Senator does every day, not just in Albany, but also in the community. The same goes for for the Speaker of the Council, for our Congressman. It goes without saying, and to really highlight that we are here to help. Your offices are here to help. This chamber is here to help. I know Scott, I think it's called Scott Kerns. We should definitely connect as well. I know that you mentioned that you have locations in Grand Central. The Assemblywoman and the Senator has been really taking the lead on that front. So we'll be more than happy to connect you with them if you're not connected with them already. And please feel free to reach out to us. Reach out to Maria at Maria, M-A-R-I-A, at villagechelsea.com, or myself, president at villagechelsea.com, or the Senator and the Assemblywomen as well. We're going to be circulating their contact information and for their constituent services. And again, this is going to be a conversation that's going to last for a long time. This is not going to be the only one. And I think we probably can agree that this is not going to be the only one community briefing we're going to have. I think we're going to need a couple of others for more business owners to join us. We have about 70, close to 80 people signing up to this. So the demand is greater out there. So we really appreciate for you being here. And thanks everybody. And it's 5:15. We made it. We're on time. So thanks again. Please stay strong. And at the same time, please, thanks for everything. And we'll be in touch. Thank you, everyone.